Hello, my name is Sarah Klunk, the Academic Fieldwork Coordinator for Jefferson's Occupational Therapy Assistant Program. I'm happy to be here with you all today to discuss how to confidently fail your next Level 2 Fieldwork student. No, of course not. That's silly. No one ever wants to be the educator that has a student fail fieldwork. Please take note that I started my joke by saying, fail your next Level 2 Fieldwork student. However, we should move towards using language that supports student accountability and focuses more on student performance towards entry-level competency. Remember, the student is failing the learning experience by not reaching entry-level competency. You are not taking sole responsibility for failing the student. On another note, it is safe to say that you may have already had or may eventually have a student who struggles to meet performance expectations during Level 2 fieldwork. First, I'd like to review a basic Level 2 fieldwork timeline and discuss the importance of detecting and underachieving students sooner rather than later. As we know, during the first week of fieldwork, a student is primarily orienting to the site, patient population, and building relationships with educators and surrounding staff. As week 2 and 3 pass, an educator should be reviewing weekly learning objectives and assessing student progress. If there are serious student concerns in the first few weeks, for example, poor attendance or professional behaviors, poor safety, or poor ethical conduct, the academic fieldwork coordinator should be contacted immediately. Because remember, these performance areas are the cornerstone for working on all other learning objectives productively. As we progress in this presentation, I'm not referring to implementing our proposed strategies with these student behaviors present. They should be addressed separately in a swift manner. However, as you progress towards midterm, you may see your student underachieving in their weekly site-specific learning objectives, and then ultimately performance areas within the fieldwork performance evaluation, also referred to as the FWPE, at midterm. Taking action during this time frame, meaning before midterm and at midterm, is imperative. As some of you know, 8 or 12 weeks sounds like a long time, but in reality, it flies by. During this time, the academic fieldwork coordinator should be contacted, allowing increased support to be provided to the student and you, the educator. Early detection allows more time, resources, and support to be provided and can ultimately save a student from failing a fieldwork experience. So please don't wait. Once underachieving performance areas have been identified, the academic fieldwork coordinator will advise on the next steps and, if appropriate, collaborate with you and the student to write a learning success plan, also referred to as a learning contract. We have provided a copy of our learning success plan within our presentation resources so that you can see an example following this presentation. Although they may look different between academic institutions, they all generally include identified areas for remediation, including examples of student behaviors and/or performance, the impact on all stakeholders, measurable goals linked to the FWPE performance areas, strategies for improvement, and educational resources provided. As we all know, having a struggling Level 2 student can challenge our personal and professional values. If we do not know strategies to modify a fieldwork experience when a student is unsuccessfully learning, it can be frustrating and draining for all parties involved. Utilizing site-specific learning objectives and collaborating with an academic fieldwork coordinator for guidance and resources are reliable strategies for navigating a struggling Level 2 student experience. However, incorporating evidence-based strategies based on successful facilitators for student learning can also be another tool in our toolbox as educators. Dr. Warner reviewed the study by Lynn Brown and colleagues earlier in the presentation. Of the 144 educators who admitted to passing a failing student, 28% admitted passing a failing student because they lacked confidence. In addition, 60% of educators decided to contact an academic liaison only after trying unsuccessfully to address student concerns. So, Dr. Warner and I started looking at what educators should be focusing on to build confidence in their actions and decisions while supervising a struggling level 2 student. What else could they do to promote student success? Many of the articles we read focused on what made student learning experiences successful, or what we will call moving forward facilitators of learning, or facilitators to learning. Then we asked, could understanding and implementing facilitators to learning improve an educator's confidence when faced with potential student failure? We decided to break the facilitators into 3 groups: the environment, student expectations, and educator strategies. And a checklist was born. We refer to this tool now as an educator's checklist for navigating a challenging level 2 fieldwork, facilitators for student learning. Now, this is not a replacement for contacting the academic fieldwork coordinator, and we highly encourage all OT educators to take the Fieldwork Educators Certificate Program by the AOTA. This is only an additional resource to have in your toolbox. It is a user-friendly checklist for fieldwork educators, allowing for self-reflection and prompts through questions to improve the facilitation of student learning. And academic fieldwork coordinators may find it useful too. I had a level 2 fieldwork student fail fieldwork a few weeks ago. After many weeks of student and educator support with a learning contract implemented, the educator voiced she felt uncomfortable allowing such a nice student to fail fieldwork. I trialed our educator's checklist almost as an interview tool to help me ensure most facilitators for learning were being provided by the educator for the student. Reviewing the checklist items with the educator also allowed her to reflect on all the actions she had taken to support the student throughout the experience. After discussing many of the educator's checklist areas together, the educator voiced she felt more confident in knowing she had done everything within her control to facilitate successful student learning. She did conclude, of course, with the assistance of the FWPE performance evaluation score, that the student had clearly failed fieldwork. The final fieldwork performance evaluation score was a clear determinant of the student's lack of entry-level competence and ultimate failure. On the other hand, the educator's checklist was reaffirming to the educator that she had promoted facilitators to learning in the environment, student expectations, and her teaching strategies to the best of her ability. It's our hope that utilizing the checklist optimize the student's ability to learn by promoting the educator to incorporate facilitators to learning within the fieldwork experience, and also granted the educator increased confidence to move forward with a valid student failure. Now, Dr. Warner will review the educator's checklist for navigating a challenging level 2 fieldwork, as you can review the facilitators for student learning together. Thank you so much for having me today, and I look forward to your thoughts and feedback about our presentation.